years I gave programs away, did all these things. I was talking to a kid from Boston today. He asked me about my social media. I gave away things for 6, 7, 8 years. Now, I was hoping they would buy product in return because they felt different about me. But at the end of the day, I couldn't tell whether you were taking Optimum, Muscle Farm, or Max Effort, but I was still developing, hopefully you, through bodybuilding.com, through Muscle Strength, through all these places I did it, and now through my own social media. But dude, I had 28 million views of the Get Swole plan, 20 million views of the Squat Every Day. Like, the amount of people that have been able to consume my stuff is astronomical. And so, you know, if I keep developing like that, it's just gonna come back to you.
With social media now, you can show people what you're capable of, and that can really help things grow faster. I mean, there's a million, it's just like, I think maybe people's perception has changed because of social media. They think, well, now everyone that lifts weights or that maybe has abs can be a trainer, can be a coach. But I think people can still kind of see through the bullshit and see who, is an effective teacher, who has good content, who's motivating. It's just like anything else. It's not going to everyone that lifts weights is not going to be a good coach, is not going to be a good trainer. And I always say, I think I just did a post about this the other day. I mean, there's nothing special about me. I'm not some, elite level athlete. I'm not, some super smart, brainiac professor guy. I mean, I work really hard. I show up, I do what I'm supposed to, and I care about, my clients, my athletes. I care about their progress. I really put a lot into them.
Well, I think it's ironic about both of us really is where Dustin's at is training like, some of the best athletes obviously that Ohio State has in the Ohio RTC, that as a wrestler, he was a district qualifier, right?
Yeah, let's bring that up. Yeah,
I want to bring it up. I want to bring it up because you don't have to be. There's great coaches that they're great practitioners, but they're not necessarily. I'm not a world record powerlifter.
I'm the Lou Holtz of wrestling coaching, right?
there's literally in my gym, I've had my best meets and got 4th. In my own gym from guys that lift with me. So I don't want people to be hindered by that because neither of us are those guys. No, we didn't get recruited to go play anything.
Right. we wouldn't even got recruited to weightlift.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, so it's one of those things where you shouldn't let that be a limiting factor. The reason why I brought it up is not to make Dustin look bad at all, but that's a point that if you're sitting here listening to this, that shouldn't be your limiting factor.
No, it's a good point. I do always bring that up to people. I always say, I may be the worst wrestler in history to get to win a national title ring or to help train an Olympian, So you don't have to be great at something to have an impact on people, No.
Well, here's the deal. I get that a lot. And so that's why I talk about it a lot, because there's a lot of lifters that get salty at me because I have the exposure I did, but it's because I've just been teaching. I mean, and there's tons of guys that are better than me, and I know it, but the relentlessness and the feedback, how interested I am in developing people, I just love it. And so if I can teach through my own experience and it's just real, people just receive it well. So whether I'm clean and jerking 250 and another guy's doing 450, I just told him straight up, no one gives a fuck.
I would do that from 10 feet away, right?
I was doing it in a respectful way because he came to learn. And so I love the guy, great guy, and taught me a lot just while he was there. I was like, what you just taught my crew at Old School, which is a bunch of savages too. These dudes are up at 2:30, 3 in the morning. None of them guys are crazy elite, but they're all 500-pound deadlifters, close to 500-pound squatters. Nobody really weighs much over 200 pounds, a lot of strong dudes. And it's like, he taught us an amazing warm-up. I'm like, dude, you need to share that with the world. So part of it is just don't be salty about it. Just do what we did. It's just that I've been doing it for a decade. That's it. I always talk about my rap album didn't go platinum overnight. I've been in this thing for 18 years. I was essentially almost 4 years ahead of Dustin because he went to traditional college. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that his path was just a hair different. Then once we combined forces, Old School Gym just became just nasty.
Formed like Voltron.
Yeah, exactly. And what's awesome about our niches are different. We cross over. We were friends and obviously for a long time and weightlifting partners, but the amount of things I can learn off him and vice versa because we both kind of went different directions of what we really like, it's been great for our brand, I think, especially. Being a practitioner, I've said this multiple times on my own podcast, that the respect level is just so different. Even if you're not crazy high level, if you just live it, people just respect it in an entirely different way. It's like an overweight personal trainer. I mean, it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta, I don't expect somebody to be a freaking cover model all the time, but I expect them to keep care of themselves and understand what they're doing and live the life. It's just super important. I've lived by that. That and having goals, mini goals and bigger goals that you keep reaching over time are huge for your success. I mean, you guys should know exactly what you want now and exactly what you really want ultimately with this thing. You can't aimlessly just be going through life no matter what you're doing with nothing. And I went from literally, from a personal level, from event to event for the last decade. Bodybuilding shows, powerlifting meets, photo shoots. Bodybuilding shows, I always have something on the calendar that has an urgency for my training, because why do I want to get up at 3 a.m.? Like, I don't need the money, I don't have to go to the gym for any certain reason. It's camaraderie, it's goals, and it's content, but it's only breeds because of those goals, because I'm going to put myself on display, and I don't want to look like a freaking chump. And so even at 38 years old, after 18 years in the game, doing all these things, I put myself on blast because that's what's going to push me. Something has to move the needle to get up. Because I get up just like everybody else and go, man, do I really want to go today? My fucking shoulder hurts, my back's tight. And I just be like, man, just go. Just go, just go, just go. Be, you know, and so over time, it's breed just this relentless, and it's mushroomed into a great success, I feel like. My dad and mom both worked out when I was real young, probably like 9 or 10 years old. They didn't work out as much when I got older. My grandfather's the one that kind of really like fathered me into weightlifting, and his dad lifted weights too. So it's like multi-generation. I'm the only one that actually did it for a job. Everybody else is coal miners or carpenters or whatnot. But it's one of those things where that was just like tradition.
Well, tell him about your pap now, about him still.
Oh yeah, he's 90 years old and he still has a great quality of life. He's 6'2", 220 at 90. Huge appetite, still pumping some dumbbells, and just literally, he just tells me all the time, like, what do you say? When they put me in the ground, I'm still going to be trying to bench press the lid off me.
That is an OG statement. Shout out to Frank Boone. Frank Boone is an OG.
It's just a number,
man.
I mean, that's what I mean. He just it's pretty sick. Dude.
I know, like every once in a while we'll talk. You'll be like, hey, you know, Pap called me, and or you call him Papa, I guess. Yeah, I used to call mine Pap, but he'll say, yeah, Papa called me today and told me how much he did on lat pull downs today.
Yeah, he
told 91 years old.
He had this. His whole thing was when he turned 80, and I was there for his birthday, that he wanted to lat pull 180 for like 10 reps or something. I mean, he was going to this, like, it was hilarious. Like, he would just set these little goals for himself. And honestly, when I went on 10 years ago on his birthday, he had like upper abs and delt cuts, and he looked awesome. And it's, you know, over time, he's a World War II vet. He had some problems with, he had his, in the war, you guys, inner ear got messed up real bad, so his balance a little off. But I mean, honestly, the quality of life that he has at 90 years old, in 2 times he got sick with infections. He went in the hospital at 220 and came out like 190, and they were like, dude, if you would have came in here at 190, you would have never came out. Your immune system's directly affected by your muscle mass, and when you're old, it makes sense to keep your muscle. That's why his appetite being like, he's not some like old geriatric dude that's eating like pudding every day. Like, he's going, we go to old school Ponderosa, and he's going like 6 times to the buffet. It's like a whole different ballgame. And so that's the thing, is like his whole life, the doctor just told him straight up, you would have been gone 10 years ago if you didn't take care of yourself. And because you're still, I mean, he's still much bigger than me. It's crazy. I talk about all the time that there's a lot of guys that go pro as athletes. We went pro in our passion. It's just not, we're just not on an athletic field. We still compete in things, we still do stuff. I love when Dustin jumps in. I mean, he doesn't do powerlifting events, but he'll jump in and pause 315 at 60 or whatever. It's like still jump just because it's like just to get that fire to be on display, right? It's one of those things, or do those races that you do sometimes, like the Spartan type races, like just challenging yourself to still compete on a day-to-day basis, like he is with the guys down here, or like I am with my crew in the morning. It keeps the fire going, and I don't feel my age at all. Like maybe, you know, when I went super heavy on Wednesday, my hip hurt a little bit, but I'm doing that to myself. You know, but in reality, like we've taken care of ourselves, I think, pretty well to this point. We see some of our friends breaking down at this age. So I'm glad we're doing what we do, but it feels good every day to open the gym that's yours, that you share with your high school best friend, which is unbelievable. For us to make money to provide for our families, I mean, I feel blessed every day. I talk about daily perspective because this is kind of funny. I was going to tell this story on my podcast later too, is I literally talk about how when you wake up every day, and bad shit can happen to you, and all of a sudden somebody asks you how your day's going, and you go, oh, I'm having a bad day. Well, I had a really bad day when I lost my dad in a car wreck, so no day's a bad day. That was the bad day. I literally woke up today, walked to my office, and stepped in a pile of dog shit today. Like, literally, like, when I talk about it, literally, so I talk about the concept of a bad day, and I always say it's never happened to me. But it did today. I swear to you. So I always say, like,
hey, wait a second, are you making this up?
I couldn't make this up if I tried. So I always say, wake up, you step in a pile of dog shit, you fucking stub your toe on something, and you get to work, you're at the water cooler, and somebody goes, how's your day going? And you go, oh, I'm having a bad day. I don't do that. Well, I literally woke up at 3, walked to my office, the damn dog shit on the floor, the lights were off, I stepped in it, I tracked it halfway around the house, I've got shit all over the place.
You're like, the worst part, I don't even have a dog.
No, yeah, that would be a problem. I didn't want the dog, but I got one. And so basically, I was a half hour late to the gym. I should have been a pissed off mess today. But it actually, the thing that I say is a phantom start of a bad day actually happened to me this morning. It's terrible.
Jeez, man. That's ridiculous. So, and it's awesome. What I love about it is that you guys kind of took the values and the things that you guys love doing and turned it into old school gym and now max effort muscle.
Yeah.
So let's dive into max effort
Sure.
muscle. Talk about kind of what you guys are doing over there.
Sure.
And all the things that you guys are doing to help people out, maximize their gains and improve themselves.
Yeah, so Max Effort Muscle is a really cool direct market brand. So we're not doing vendors. I've said no to some big boys just because I don't want to mess with that this time around. I want to develop the customer as well as we can with the content schedule that we're putting on all the social media and YouTube and our site. We have some great content producers / partners. It's cool for Dustin to be in this thing to a high degree now that we work together at Muscle Farm and Indifferent, and now this is being partners again. Like Old School has been great. John Fosco has been great as I partnered up with him with some of my media stuff. John's killed it, and so we've got just a great all-star team between Clay Guida, Travis Brown.
Let's kind of break down the team and kind of the areas they cover.
Yeah, so I mean, John and I are pretty much running the business stuff on a day-to-day basis. We did a lot of the marketing, come up with stuff. Then our content producer / partners, Dustin, who does obviously conditioning wrestling. That's why we're talking to this stuff, and the Muscle Mill show, which is amazing.
Actually got a cooking show.
Dustin has a cooking show. It was one of the first.
Yeah, it's fire.
Dude, it is fire. It was one of the first things, just because I've known Dustin for so long, that I was like, you have to do a cooking show. Cooking shows always kill it. I know that you'd be great at it, and so that was like one of the first things. I mean, he can teach people how to lift weights all the time, and he still does, but that thing is awesome. And I'll tell you, it was challenging, and what was awesome, like, we were working on this brand, and it was hard not to be a Muscle Farm ripoff. I'll just be straight with you guys, because it was 8 years, right? And it was successful. So when we were coming back to what was like internally important to the brand to get out, and it was like that retro. And John was like, look, man, I don't even know these guys, but I know of them, but they are bosses in the space of, and they live in Seattle, let's call them and see if they'll take on the job to work with us on this design. And they came up with our inspiration, this logo. Max. And so Max Effort was born, and then once we kind of dialed in that burlap idea and some of this other stuff, we knew we had a winner. And look, here's the deal. I had a non-compete, so I had 8 months to just work on product, mixability, work with the science team on the formulas, work with everything to make it just so zoned in that I was so comfortable and so excited for everybody to try it. And I knew if it had a good brand message and there was a customer experience, all the stuff that we're offering for free to develop them, it'd be a wrap. And it is a wrap, pretty much. It's been really successful out the gate. It's exciting.
And when you start to think along those lines, then you have to start aligning your actions a certain way. You got to start, trying to impact people a certain way, because you think, okay, if I'm going to be the top guy, the most well-respected, the most impactful guy in this space, then I have to start thinking like that, and I have to start acting like that. So that's really something I've picked up from you over the years.
Yeah, and sometimes when you say stuff like that, people go, but you want them to, because it sounds a little outrageous. And as long as you believe it when you get up every day. I believed almost some of these things I could have never guessed, but I believed, like, when I was in those areas, I was like, oh yeah, I can get this done. I was meant to be here, so why would I be nervous? One thing I'll share with you guys I learned from Tiger is he said, I asked him about some of those big bending putts that would go in to win the Masters and this grand stage. He was so dialed into his process, his strategy, and his work. He said, Cory, when that putt would leave my putter, I didn't even sometimes remember hitting it, seeing it go in, remember the read. He was almost like in a trance because he's so dialed. And he would say, like, it just was automatic. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you that. I feel like we're dialed into that level with what we do, and that's when you expect for it just to go in. Mm-hmm. And that's how Tiger was, and that's why he was relentless and killed everybody for the period of time that he did, which was just greatness. And Arnold is the exact same way. And so when you get around guys like that, like I said, I just try to have a piece of that every day. But when you hear him tell you that, like you and him, he tells you that, you go, that's me. That's what I need to expect out of me.